Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for the Take 5 Art Challenge for the month of May in 2020, and this month the prompts are brought to us by the lovely Shay, who is the Sleepless Planner on Instagram. Please check her out. I'm going to put all the prompts up on the side there, and these prompts are pretty I guess challenging, but I love the challenge. I'm going to take on the challenge. So here we go. So prompt number 1 is an unexpected tool, and this one took a few backwards and forwards, but I decided to use aluminum foil as an unexpected tool. You can ball this up into a ball, and then you can smush all your paint around and it creates some amazing texture in your background. So I've seen a few artists do it on YouTube, so it's going to be my first time trying, so wish me luck with that one. Prompt number 2 is a black and white background, and what I decided to do is I'm going to grab my Versamark stamp pad and some clear embossing powder, and I'm going to try to preserve some of the white on my page, and stamp as much of this as I can, and then I'll be adding the black paint with my scrunchy ball to create a black and white background. So see how that goes. Prompt number 3 is something inspired by your favorite artist, and what I'm going to do is I've got sort of two. I'm going to do collaging, which is, I think a lot of my favorite artists do collaging. One of the artists that I'm following at the moment, her name is Adi Almanza. Hello Adi, she's in Germany. She is doing an online collage class, which I would dearly love to take. But in the meantime, I've just been following some of her collage classes, and super duper it's just so much fun. So I'm gonna try collaging this, but also I guess you guys know that Diane Reevely is the collage queen on YouTube and everywhere else, so I'm going to collage this. Now this, for in case anyone is wondering where I got that from, I have this calendar called The Proverbial Cat. And it's really cool. It's a really old one, 2013. And most of the cats are in landscape, but I did manage to find some cats in sort of this vertical, portrait style. Goodness. And this one is the smallest one. Like, this is going to be my sheet. So that one just makes it, but you don't see much of the background. This one also, she's too tall. I wouldn't want to cut off any ears or any toes, so she's not going to do. There's also one which I totally adore, which is this one. I love this one. This is my cat all the time. Is it time to eat? Is it time to eat? Is it dinner yet? Is it breakfast yet? But I'm going to need a big page for this one, so I'm going to leave that one. And I think she works beautifully. So we're going to go with this kitty. The next prompt is textured elements or texture paste. So I guess this is a textured element, but also what I might do is mix this. So this is dimensional effects. This is paintable texture paste. And so what I might do is mix this up with the black and then apply it. We'll see how we go. I might also apply it through a stencil. So I pulled out this stencil. I thought it would kind of be cool to have like some kind of effects like that behind the kitty. I don't know. We'll see how we go. I don't know how this is going to turn out. This is just all pre-planning, I suppose. And then I thought these were really cute, so I might put some of that in the background with the Versamark. So that's another thought. All right, so let's move along with the prompts. The last one is hidden messages, and I also saw one of my other favorite artists on YouTube is Neve Bailey, and what she did was an amazing, in the Dina Wakley group, she did one where she did flips, some of Dina's ladies. So, and every time she flipped one over, it was kind of hinged, and she wrote something about somebody that inspired her. So what I thought I would do, either flip kitty this way or flip kitty this way, and then do some hidden journaling there. So we'll see how we go with that. All right, so that's all the prompts. Wish me luck, and let's see how this turns out. So I'm just going to start here by adding some of this text print stamp to the background. I am just getting myself sorted here, putting something underneath my paper, and I'm pressing the rubber stamp into the Versamark pad, and then I'm just making sure that I get quite a little bit of white preserved, and then I do this mark at the bottom, which I sort of saw an edge as I was adding the clear embossing powder to, and I kind of didn't like that. So you'll see in a moment that I'm going to grab a brush and I'm just going to brush it away. If you ever make a mistake while you're adding the embossing powder or any of the powder, if you ever make a mistake when adding any of the powder, if you ever make a mistake when adding any powder, or you stamp something incorrectly, you can always wipe it away before you heat set it. So this, you don't have to have that mistake if you catch it early. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back, restamp, and then add some more clear embossing powder, and then I'll be ready to heat set. After that, I'm just going to show you here, trying to catch the light of the glossiness of the clear embossing powder. I love how it looks, and I'm just going to get everything ready here. I've got the texture paste on the side there. I'm using my spatula to pull it out, and this is the black paint. I'm going to try to use just a little bit. I didn't mix enough of this mixture, and you'll see in a moment how I make it last. And it's quite interesting because as I'm mixing here, I kind of go into a flow and into a rhythm of, I guess, painting or applying paint through stencil, and I totally forget about using the aluminum ball scrunchie technique that I was planning to use. And so halfway through, same with the stencil, I kind of looked at it and then I decided that I wasn't really going to use it. I thought that one stencil was enough. I didn't want to kind of mix up the background too much, so I do put the stencil aside, and then I'm going to start adding some of this texture paste through. And I try to be a little bit neat here, trying to put it through just the stencil part. I do get a little bit off the top, and I try to smudge it off. So here's where I realized that I haven't mixed enough of that texture paste paint mixture, and then so what I do to make it last, I suppose, to make it go all the way through, is I start using my finger to kind of smooch it off. So I'm just checking to see how it looks, and it looks really good here. And so I'm trying to use the spreader, and the spreader, you can't really get in there, right? You can't get into the grooves. So I end up using my finger to pull paint from other areas and extend the mixture as much as I can. And so I did end up using my finger as an unexpected tool. I didn't mean to do that, but it kind of helped me out. So as I reveal, I really love how this looks. And so what I'm going to do now is just go clean everything. Okay, so I've let this dry, and I'm just having a look at this here. I like how this looks. But what I wanted to do originally was, if you come in really close here, see how the Versamark stamping underneath there is showing through. So what I do want to do is I sort of want to, if you can hear, I'm scraping at some of the paint. I'm sort of wiping it away. And I do want to start, I do want to start revealing some of the print underneath. So I'm just going to take some time now and try to do that. It's really important for the paint to be totally dry and you don't really scratch it. I'm worried that it might roll, like I might apply so much pressure that it starts peeling the paper. So it's a strange kind of I definitely don't want to wet my hands because I know that I'll start smearing black paint everywhere. And all this stuff that you see coming out, this is the texture in the texture paste in this. So okay, I didn't expect to use this, and so I think this goes perfectly with the prompt of an unexpected tool. I feel like I have no use for this because I have actually applied my paint and my texture paste with my spatula instead of this, which is what I was supposed to do. I wasn't thinking, so this is no longer required for an application. But I think what I'm trying to do is because I'm trying to remove this, my finger really hurts, so what I actually need is some kind of like buffer. So this is my buffer, and I'm trying to remove, instead of distressing paper around the edges, what I'm trying to do is sort of peel back. Ouch, that hurts. Sorry, rubbing the paper for so long, like I think I've got some paper cuts. So silly. So it hurts holding here. All right. So that is looking really beautiful. I love that black and white distressed look. And it still feels quite textured here, and it really feels textured here with all the raised Versamark and the glossy clear embossing pattern. So I definitely think that I've achieved that texture element that the prompts call for. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to grab some writing paper and I'm going to trace around the kitty. This will be my hidden journaling area. And now what I'm doing is just cutting out what I traced so that I have this area that's hidden underneath the kitty. So here we are, just making sure that the two pieces fit together, and they do. So I'm just placing the cat there on the sheet, and I'm putting the writing paper underneath it. I'm just trying to figure out where I want the head to be, and I realize that I do have to sacrifice the toes and the tail at the bottom there. So what I do here is I flip over that tail and the toes, and then I actually flip it under. And then now you see that it's just the back of the tail that needs to be cut off, so that gets cut there. And then so now what I'm going to do is add the writing paper and do the same thing. I'm going to cut off the tail in a moment, but what I'm doing is I'm adding the glue just to the writing paper, making sure that that's stuck down nice and firm. Then I'm flipping over there goes the tail, I'm flipping over the bottom. I am putting glue on the original cat toes and then also behind it so it sticks down to the art journal page. So as you can see now, it is able to flip, it's secured underneath, and the writing paper is secured on the top, if you know what I mean. Now what I'm doing is one of the techniques from my favorite artists is what Adi Almanza does. So she uses kind of like a mixed media technique of adding paint and then adding pastels, or she actually uses Stabilo Woodies, which are a water soluble crayon, which I'm trying to get my hands on. So at the moment all I've been doing is just using some oil pastels and some of my Neocolor Caran d'Ache soluble pigments. So she just uses them as extra color to go around your focal image and around the background so that it kind of accentuates and adds more color. So I'm just showing you here, this is my collection of oil pastels and watercolor crayons and my normal wax crayons as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a little bit of the crayon, and then I'm using my finger to buff as much of it off so that it comes, so that you can see the clear embossing stamped script at the back there. So I'm just adding different colors in each of the corners, and by this stage my finger is totally killing me. So what I'm doing is I grabbed a rag and then I ended up just buffing some of the color off with the rag, and so this saved my little finger. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, just adding a little bit of color to the four corners and then buffing as much of the color off, and just creating that really beautiful, soft, glowy pastel kind of look. I love the look of smoothed pastel. They look very smooth, very flowy, very creamy, very rich, and they just add a little bit of extra to your artwork. I'm really grateful to Addie for some of the challenges that she's been setting us during the quarantine period, because I've been finding myself doing more and more art recently. If you look through my Instagram profile, you'll see some of the works that I did taking her classes, and I just feel like my art has kind of taken that next leap up, which I have been wanting to do for so long. All you need is just time. So these are some of the tips that I've picked up from taking her classes. So go ahead and check Addie out. She's amazing. She is so kind. She's so helpful. I love her classes. Okay, so now back to my page. You saw me there. All I did was use a Sharpie to outline the kitty cat, and then also to outline the inside of the writing paper. You have to be careful here because the oil pastels leave a little bit of oil residue. You don't want that to get onto your Sharpie, so make sure that you wipe buff the cat off first. So now the next thing I'm doing is looking through my Halloween clippings. I thought it was quite pertinent to look through them because I'm about to tell you a story of what happened with my naughty cat, Russia. So I'm going to put up some pictures now to show you what happened this one night. So I woke up one morning after a long night of fussy cutting in front of the TV, and what I'd done is I just had some fairy tale books and I just wanted to cut some characters out. So I did that. I put everything in piles, as you can see by the picture that's up right now. Everything in piles in my craft room, ready to start working the next day. I walk into the room that morning and I could straight away smell that the cat had upchucked, and that's just a nice word of saying the cat had puked. And so I was like, where? And would you know it, the cat puked right on top of my clippings. I took the throw up to the cat and I said, "Excuse me, is this you?" And I took some photos here to show you, and cat was not impressed. So as soon as I saw this calendar with cats on it, I knew that I had to document this little episode of Russia puking on my art clippings. So you can see what I'm writing here. I'm saying, "Russia, you naughty cat. You just had to throw up on my art pile in my craft room when the rest of the floor was empty and clear. Bad cat. Good thing I had put all my cuttings in a Ziploc bag. Quick wipe and clean, and all was good. Still love you. You are forgiven." So that's why I called this art journal page Bad Cat. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody. This is my art journal for the month of May. Thank you so much, Shay, for these great prompts. Love what turned out. I always do. I just procrastinate up to that point. Of course, now what happens is that this art page is going into my planner for 2020. I've made sure that every page that I do is going into my planner, and I actually love seeing all my art pages as I flick through my planner every day, so I'm finding that's quite comforting. Don't forget to check out what all the other girls have done. I'm going to leave a list below so you can hop on over to their YouTube channels and check out what they did with the art prompts. The prompts are just so general and so vague. They can be taken in so many ways. I can't wait to see what people use as an unexpected tool. I can't wait to see what hidden messages they did, or how they interpreted that prompt. It's so amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I do hope you play along. If you do play along, please use the hashtag Take5Art on Instagram. We will look you up and we will like and comment. And thank you so much for joining our collaboration. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.